Welcome to Live Your Truth, the podcast everyone's talking about. Live Your Truth has become the evening matinee, the number one evening podcast with Taibu Muad'Dib and introducing Shay. Yeah. So cold. It's amazing. That's the intro y'all was all looking for. Taibu Muad'Dib, man. That's the lovely sound of Shay. Can't wait till she puts together her own platform. This is Live Your Truth, where everybody has a voice. On this show, we've covered topics like police brutality, child drug addiction, and many others. But I want you to know that I will not rest until we have unity in our community, all right? Get your thoughts together. Get your purpose straight. I'm just one man. All it takes is one movement to change our lives forever, all right? So follow me. Express yourself. Lift your voice. I want to hear it. Tonight, how to rebuild after the fall. How do you pick back up? I don't have to be on time with my show. Not when I'm the number one top dog doing it. That was the sexiest man and Arlington's sexiest voice. What y'all gonna do with that? Drink to it. Back in true form. Politics, relationships, finance, motivation, family, community. We do it all here. All right. Don't forget to go to the online coaching program and take your first step. Watch for the ad that's about to come out. When I do this voiceover, it's game over. All right. Giving it one more shot. Giving it one more shot. All right. So, we're going to get it together. This is that sound. Make you want to write it down. I started doing podcasting to raise awareness for my online coaching program after it built somebody's life like up. I'm talking about me. So your first step is to consider that you could give a greater effort into what you say you're about. Once you start giving a greater effort, like you know you're moving that needle, now you can place the effort onto your focus into that thing so that your plan can be more strategic. And then we'll see your commitment, right? Will you carry that plan through? Because I believe if you carry that plan through, it's going to be locked down. You're going to shut it down, baby. Shut it down. Proud of all you out there that follow the podcast and watch the show. Probably didn't think I was going to podcast tonight because I was taking my time. But Shay went to, I think it's Lisa's Chicken up the street. Man, I'm a 2-meat guy, so I got the catfish, the breast, and the leg. You know how that can be. So I really wasn't trying to holler at y'all tonight. And I took a couple nights off, you know. Put yourself in a position where you can take some nights off, everybody. Relationship on the rocks, going through some things. Y'all see it, because I don't hide it from you. Yeah, I don't hide it from y'all. Because I don't want you guys to hide, right? And people ask me, like, Ty, why you put your stuff out there in the public? And I'm like, look, man, we have people that want to help us, but if they don't know about our situation, they can't help us grow beyond it. A confirmed genius. I want y'all to make this your spot. I mean, come hang out with me on Live Your Truth and Live Yours, right? Everybody here has a voice. Don't get me wrong. If your truth is a gosh darn shame, you will get it. Oh yeah, we'll shame you. But be that as it may, let's move on into the discussion about how to rebuild after the fall. So you can't rebuild something without doing what? Going and getting fresh material. I'm gonna give y'all these moments of silence to let some of the stuff I stay stink in. When I was doing You're a Mess, I was just running right by stuff. What's going on, young lady? Go ahead and jump in here. If I didn't send you the link, you're welcome to get it. Let's go. That's beautiful 82 over there on Instagram. Let's go. How to rebuild after the fall. Yo, you already know. How to rebuild after the fall. How do you rebuild something after the fall? And I'm gonna send this link out to a good friend. But I just want you guys to know that you rebuild by going and getting fresh material. You have to go. So what are you saying, Taibu? I'm saying that you can't rebuild a broken relationship. You can't rebuild your career, your finances until you go get new material. What material are you talking about? I'm talking about knowledge. When you hear that sound, do what? Write it down. All right. I'm trying to elevate some people. Now, some of you are the kind of people that will only listen to certain people in your circle. The problem with that is, what if God's not trying to bless you through what they're saying to you? I mean, you know them, they end up becoming yes men and women. You might need to think outside the box or to hear from outside that circle in that box to elevate you. Just saying. I'm not saying that you're not choosing good people to listen to and you're not following great individuals, but you have to understand that self-preservation forces us all to be what? Selfish. Self-preservation, selfish to a certain degree. So while you're following someone else, that person is living their bestie. That person's following their own path. That person has their purpose and they're moving towards it gleefully. But that person's purpose and their path might not match yours. So I'm just encouraging you. If things are messed up but you're close and you're connected to great people, they might not be the people to elevate. You might have to bump into somebody or run into somebody that's lived your life, that's gone through what you've gone through. That's how you rebuild after the fall. I'm telling you right now, people, this is real. If you want to rebuild after the fall, I want you to know that you're going to have to go get new material. You tell me that when they was bombing stuff and tearing stuff up, and even with the 9/11 and the Twin Towers, they had to go get fresh material. They were not looking in the rubble and trying to build trying to rebuild them buildings with the stuff that fell down already. Who would do that? Who would try to rebuild with the same stuff that fell down? That's what most of you are doing. If you don't go get new material, fresh material, you're literally trying to rebuild with the stuff that fell down. What sense does that make? Some of you get on here and tell me what sense it makes to try to rebuild what fell down with the same stuff that fell down. You know, if you're going to a great church with a great pastor, if you're a college student and you're getting your PhD, but your relationship still went to heck, that falling back on your education or your spiritual guidance, that's not going to work. You have to go get new material, people. I'm telling you what's real. Now, on You're a Mess, I was dropping science, I was dropping knowledge, I was dropping jewels, I was making up, I was giving the culture new ways of looking at things, baby vending machines, 100 bodies, lie detector tests, all these different things. Right? Dating, prostitution. I was breaking it down for y'all. The purposeless partner. I was giving y'all so much and bagging it up. I would just Google and we would look at the definitions of words. And you guys didn't get it. You guys were still having tough relationships. I had people come on my show. Oh, I'm so happy and I'm in love. And then I did disappear. We don't know what happened to him. See him again. I don't know. I've been single for the last couple of months. What is that? Because we're afraid to go get new material. You guys, you see the picture that I showed you guys for this podcast today? It was the building crumbling down. Can you imagine someone going and using that same material, the building crumbling? Can you imagine someone going and using that same material to try to rebuild with? What would that building look like? What would the building look like if that person, if a building if your house burned down, what would the insurance people come back? Oh, we're gonna give you $50,000 to rebuild. What we're going, but you have to use the same stuff that fell down, because that's what we insured. Nobody go for that. If the insurance people came in and said, we're going to give you $75,000 to rebuild the damages, but since the stuff that you have to use the stuff that we insured, you can't go get new stuff. Is that really insurance? That's how ridiculous so many of you are for trying to rebuild something without going and getting new material to rebuild with. I know I'm making sense. Look, y'all be on my shows and we be just jaw jacking, talking about sports and predictions and stuff. Shout out to all the Chiefs fan because the Chiefs won. All right. But I'm saying, still, when I'm dropping this science and I'm dropping this knowledge on y'all, y'all not rocking with me. Why not? I just don't get it. I don't get it. Put on your hard hat. Enter the construction zone. Let's go. That's what I'm saying. The hard hat is for safety. What's going on, official? Join us over here, man. Talk about how to rebuild after the fall. The hard hat people that construction workers wear is for what? It's for safety, because they're putting up new material. It might not be fastened securely. It might not be the right material. Somebody might have went short on the material, but you have the hard hat to protect your head. Right? It's precautions that you take when you enter a construction zone. You wear steel-toed shoes. You wear, boots that, nails can't penetrate underneath them. You have to prepare for construction, people. If you've broken trust, if you've hurt somebody that you love or you've been with, or if you lost your job and you want to build yourself back up and become marketable, you have to do it. Right? You have to make it make sense. So, I'm trying my best to get you together. We can make it happen. If you jump off in here and just let it be known. I personally, I know a lot of people who are trying their best to rebuild something, but they don't understand you need more material and you need to be more strategic and you need to prepare to get in there. See, y'all soft these days. Y'all can act like, oh, this is in the 40s and the 50s and the 60s and whatever, whatnot. When people used to stay together, y'all ladies talking about, oh, they were stupid. They wasn't modern like we as traditional women, this and this and that. And they had terrible lives. I just don't get it. I don't get it. The young people these days, they despise how the older folks was doing it. But what are they standing on? If the relationships were harder and harder to maintain, how can you blame the days and the times that it is and not yourselves? Y'all can't make me believe that without there being y'all can't make me believe that a person is born, you know, more promiscuous without being taught anything. You can't tell me that a young lady born in 2023 is just naturally more promiscuous than a woman born in 1948. I'm just not buying that. She's more promiscuous because the days and times is no one's really holding her to that high standard anymore. So without that high standard, I'm just going to marry one man. I'm going to take my time and choose wisely, and I'm going to stick by him. I'm going to build him up. You know what I'm saying? What's wrong with that? Fellas, I mean, where are the fathers at? It's almost a catch-22 because the women got the whole bug. The men don't have to be stomped down real dudes to stand up and make strong commitments and stay with the family anymore. Because they have access to all these different wombs, as to my man Darius put it. If all men want access to the womb, because the women are so loose and carefree with it, they don't have to, there's why stay at home, you know? And how do we respond? After the fall, how do we respond? You leaving the kids to pick up the pieces. It's nuts. If my dad would have stayed at home with the 6 kids he made with my mom, I'm coming out like, okay, that's how you're supposed to do it. Without question. I mean, it's blueprint. Dad's the hero. So ladies, if you think about it, what Elijah Muhammad said in the movie X is very, very correct. It's so accurate, it's scary. If the woman is the first teacher a child has, her selection of who she had them by is the first lesson that they learn. All right, Tyrannotate everybody. So if you realize what I'm saying here, African women, like, I'm not being harder or tougher on you guys tonight than any other time that I've talked about this, but to be traumatized so much, to know that you've gone through so much, but to have so much control over the future, that's where your power is. Ultimately, the mothers of every culture on this planet, we know this scientifically. When do you guys reclaim that power? I mean, the power to choose. Now, in a country where 48 women above the age of 18 are forcibly raped every hour, it's tough to say you have your choice, because African women in this country are the most vulnerable of all those women in that statistic. But my point is this: for those of you that get to choose, whether your dad was in your life or not, look at me right now. I'm talking to all you young ladies. Whether your dad was in your life or not, Whether your mom's making good choices in men or not, you, this generation here, can take back that power. We can rebuild our culture as a people after we fell so hard in the 80s with the crack, in the 90s with the drugs and the gangs. You know what I'm saying? We can this at this point right now, you guys can say the buck stops here. You can force young African men, and for those we did outside the culture, those men too. But I'm just saying, for the most part, you can force young African men to come correct. What's wrong with that? What's wrong with Taibu Muad'Dib saying, ladies, stop being, your own worst enemy? I said it before on You're a Mess. I'll say it on Live Your Truth as this platform gets started. You guys online, if I was to ask Siri right now how many hate groups are online organizing, it would probably be in the hundreds. Where's the love? African women, y'all have to love each other from 50 to 40 to 30 to 20, whatever. Y'all should have groups online organizing against the lames in y'all town. If this guy has kids over here and he's married, he's sleeping with so-and-so, and you see him out the window tipping, where's the neighborhood watch, sisters? Be your sister's keeper. This is how our people rebuild after we fail. If the men aren't going to do it, sisters, y'all stand up. Y'all want to wear the pants anyway.
Bro, you
individual relationship aspects to our whole culture. Ladies, y'all have so much. Y'all got to put on them hard hats and go to work and figure it out. Just stop pointing the finger and laying back playing the victim. It's not helping us as a people. It's not helping our community. After you make that first bad decision with having a child, don't rush out to the first guy who want to take care of you and that baby. Ride it out for a minute. Recalibrate that first bad decision. It's just the days of having more than one child by more than one. I'm talking about the house is just, what's it? It's like the NBA now. You know what I'm saying? Y'all ladies like mid-season trades. You know what I'm saying? You got the NBA teams right now. They pulling in. The Mavs got Kyrie Irving. I'm talking about y'all just a menagerie of kids in the house. Though none of them look alike.
Whoa.
I'm just shooting it out there on the real.
All my kids look alike.
I'm talking about this is I'm putting it out there for what it is. I just want y'all to understand. I'm not ranting. I'm trying to tell you how we rebuild this thing. It's never too late to do the right thing, though, ladies. But I don't want to hear any more excuses. I was young. I didn't know any better. This and this and that. But you still putting it out there in the air. It's still accessible to, every Tariq, Shaka, you know what I'm saying, and Ubuntu. All right. Stop batting your eyes and putting on the makeup and doing your hair and start getting some knowledge and get conscious and wake up. Let's stop acting like the kids don't see what we're doing. All right. Kyrena Tate, everybody. So you jumped on tonight. We're talking about how to rebuild after the fall. You can talk about our own personal fall that you could rebuild back after and what that experience was like, or you can just talk in general. It is your floor.
Rebuilding from a fall is reevaluating everything around you. When you think of a fall, you think of failure. In most communities, failure is not an option, so we don't try to dwell on those type of things. So rebuild it from a fall, number one, is trying to clear up whatever's been messed up. So you have to go through that debris of how did you fall? What essentially was the reason for the fall? So once we find that root issue, we can work from there to rebuild from that issue, because
Indeed.
If it doesn't work the first time, let's not try it the second or third time.
But it happens though. Why is
So when you start to see things repeating itself and it's starting to be cycles, then that's when you have to really start paying attention to different things as far as cycles, to be able to break those cycles. So when you rebuild after a fall, you want to take the things that were a hindrance and kind of put them away, and remember those mistakes so that you don't continue to make those same mistakes as you go through the process of rebuilding. And you always want to rebuild on a firmer foundation than what you started with. So
I've been told that, you know what I'm saying, my words are sharp and that my shame bag is a little bit harsh, you know, and it keeps folks from coming on the show.
I started that shame bag thing.
So I would like to, but I would like to just put it out there, you know. I feel like my show isn't, you know, as popular as other shows because I'm not sharing popular points of view, right? So do you think, would your advice to me would it be that I should start following the crowd to get more views and more people on it, where we can basically just spin our wheels talking about the same stuff that other people are talking about, just to, you know, make it more palatable for the viewing audience? Or should I mean, what do you think about that?
I mean, brutally honest is what we are. I met you being brutally honest. So, I mean, there's no other way for us to be. Transparency is what we are looking for. So, if you're not going to be transparent, it's no need to. The crowd is always going to come. Like they say, it's tight, but it's right. Is or however they say it. When you think about stuff like that, you think about like being reprimanded by your parents. You know what I'm saying? And you be like, man, golly, mama always talking trash or whatever, or daddy always talking trash. But in all actuality, they just giving you the stepping stones to be more, to be better. So maybe they see something that maybe that was a stumbling block for them, and they're telling you, hey, look, this. If you do it this way, it'll change the dynamic of what the outcome will be. So you definitely have to pay attention to those things. I mean, if everybody is saying the same thing, maybe it's true. Um, I know you tell me a lot of times, you be like, you can't be just whatever. And I'll be like, but if it's the truth, it's the truth. If nobody tells you the truth, how can you improve?
If
Um,
nobody tells you the truth, then you're just never gonna know the truth, and that sucks. Why would people do
exactly.
that anyway? Why would folks do us like that? Why would they not tell us the truth? I just want to know, why not tell me the truth? You know what I'm saying? Let me know the truth. I gotta digest however I gotta digest it, but why wouldn't you tell me the truth? And that's a good point. I think honestly, I prefer to be who I am and to do my thing. And if people don't like it, they can, watch a different podcast. Um, if people don't like it, they can, express their points of views and opinions other places. But I'm telling you right now, I just think that a lot of people want to be heard. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, but you got to be careful with the noise. I mean, a lot of people want to be heard, but a lot of people are not. They want to be heard, but they don't have any substance. So, I mean, what are we listening to? So, you have
Aha.
to be careful. You have to be careful what you access
Now,
your ear
okay,
gates to.
okay. So, okay, on that level. Now, I think that there are different levels to what a person can offer the platform. I will say that, but I can't. Because God created all of it. I don't think the Bible says like, you're fearfully and wonderfully made if you are African or European or Asian. You know what I'm saying? I think that we were all fearfully and wonderfully made. So that being said, if a person is speaking, it's not that they don't have no substance. It's just that their substance and what they can add of value might not be on the same level as somebody else for
Right.
various reasons: experience, education, wisdom. You know what I'm saying, or just uh, leadership qualities. So I I don't agree with that particular statement only because I would want everybody to know that on this platform, I want to hear your voice. Now, no matter how it sounds, it could sound like a beautiful love song. It could sound like a clanging cymbal. You know what I'm saying? It could sound like fingers on a chalkboard. But I want it to get out there because Tyrena, so many people can't rebuild their reputation. They can't rebuild, you know what I'm saying, their self-worth and self-confidence, and they take their own lives. So we don't want that. You know what I'm saying? So please, if you want to talk and get things out there, not to repress and live your truth, come on to this show, come on to the podcast. If not that, talk to somebody somewhere. All right. My cousin Spencer, everybody. So, cousin Spence, you know how I feel about certain issues. I kind of got at the sisters again. I'm trying to really get the sisters to know how much power they have in moving this needle and getting this thing changed for us as a people, right? What do you think about how a person can rebuild after the fall?
How they can rebuild after the fall? Remember, I remember I mentioned to you those three steps you have to build yourself back up with.
Mm-hmm.
Called the sun, the moon, and the truth.
Right.
You got to restore your soul. You got to restore your body. You got to restore your heart because the heart is the longest thing that takes to heal. Once you rebuild all three of those, is everything will fall in place.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, cuz. Do you think that it's also we have to kind of admit that we have fallen? So should we let's talk about it, fellas. After you leave your baby mama with 2 kids or 1 kid or whatever, after you walk away, there will be some people who will be like, yeah, you didn't need her. You will have those people who will encourage you to, you know what I'm saying, like keep it moving, whatever. But is that the proper path? Or is the proper path to like add some new material to yourself and try to restart the conversation with the individual that you started that family with? See, we're not willing to look at that option. It's just too easy to sweep under the rug. We have to, in our community, look, I don't know what the Europeans and Latinos are going to do. They've been doing it. Asians, they've been doing it. Jews, they've been doing it. As a people, our conversation, we have to start holding each other accountable. I felt a lot, y'all. Y'all still don't know. I felt a lot. And because I was a child that was abused greatly, I became an awesome abuse. I mean, I was a tyrant. I was terrible with it, right? And I had a conversation with 2 of my best friends. One I've known since I was 10, one I've known since I was 18. And I was like, how come y'all didn't tell me? And guess what they said? They said, we thought you knew you was, you know what I'm saying, you was out there, but you was our dude, you know, you cool with us, you know what I'm saying? Like, there was no, you know, I'm not saying that they ever condoned it or didn't be like, man, you bogus for that. You know what I'm saying? But that was as far as it went. You know, cut me off. I mean, because these are good friends of mine. I'm talking about my real dudes, like brothers from a different mother. I'm talking about real type friendships that I value. Cut me off, fam. Like, nah, Ty, I can't, man. You know, I heard what happened with you and Shorty, man. I can't rock with you like that. I just can't be involved with somebody that puts her hands on women. You know what I'm saying? Cut me off.
Yeah. Instead of correcting you as a friend, because a friend wears your wounds.
I just said they tried. I mean, they said words. I mean, how much can you say to your homeboy? Like, you bogus, fam. You should have did that. You know what I'm saying? Like, how far can you go? You're not my dad. You know what I'm saying? You my dude. You speak your mind. We keep it moving. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, like, but if you cut me off, that's a different statement. I mean, can't. Go ahead.
If you're unreceptive, as far as, okay, we've come to you, we've told you this, you continue to do it. You know, what else is it for us to do? We're not going to stay around and condone it. So yeah, you got to figure that out on your own. Once you stop listening and you grown and you no longer can be told or take constructive criticism or be like, hey, I'm your friend, bro. Like, prime example, I call you up in a heartbeat. Hey, Taibu, that was a little much. You was receptive to it. You took the advice. But if you don't take the advice, what am I supposed to do? I'm not gonna kick it with you and you out here doing foul. I know you out here beating up on this girl, and I'm gonna be around you. No, I'm not gonna be around you, homeboy. I'm gonna cut you short because at the end of the day, I told you about it and you didn't try to correct it. So therefore, what I had to say, you didn't care at that point. So now you got to figure it out on your own, be it jail time, be it whatever the consequences may be, because I was that friend that told you, bro, that's not right. The first time she might not call the laws, bro, but you keep doing that, she gonna put them people in your life, and then what, bro? You gonna be out of there. You know what I'm saying? But you didn't take that in. You didn't heed the warning. So it's always, like they say, it's always a storm before the destruction.
It's not even about the consequence as far as legal system is concerned, Cousin Spencer. It's just about what you're doing to that woman and the children that you have with her, or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's like you are perpetuating this cycle of violence that we see every day being perpetuated against us anyway. You know what I'm saying? Like, if we have it in the home and we see it on TV, social media, outside, it's like, where's the peace? You know what I'm saying? Where's that purpose at? You know what I'm saying? So, but I'm saying, like, I don't use me as the whiteboard much. You know what I'm saying? I don't use my life much. I mean, don't get me wrong. I have a story. All y'all gotta do is read the books. They're online. Just go on Amazon and books and look at Taibu Muad'Dib by name, and you'll see my story. But I mean, tonight I think it's appropriate because I mean, it could be said that I fail in some way, shape, or form every time I stooped to that level and put my hands on a woman. You know what I'm saying? Like, I had to fall off at some point, like, and get on that level with it. So, Cousin Spencer, like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, that's why I know that you have to go add new material, right, to rebuild. You can't stop. We have to stop trying to rebuild with the same stuff. It just doesn't make any sense. That's why I put that building. When y'all saw how I created this podcast, it was the building falling down, right? So would you try to rebuild that same building with the same stuff that fell down? Of course you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm just saying, but we do it every day. It's just kind of ridiculous to me. I'm just throwing it out there. How do you feel about that? Folks trying to rebuild with the same stuff that fell down.
That's like the old saying about them, like trying to reinforce the broken armor, as they say.
Okay.
Everybody's gonna always find the crack in it, and it just always wears down because you won't take the time not to repair or just get a whole new one. That's how I see it. But us as men in a society, if you keep repeating that same cycle of violence, it not only affects the woman, but it affects your children as well, because they get used to seeing that. If you have like young men and they see you always putting hands on your mother, guess what? That happens to them. They feel like, okay, when I get all right, this is the way I have to do it because this is what I'm showing. This is what I'm being shown by the man that's in my life to women in my life.
Exactly.
And then if he has daughters, his daughters get programmed to think that that's okay because their mothers are getting used to that, like being beaten up on, and not just saying like, you know what, enough's enough. We're not going to deal with this, because even as a man, I have daughters. I'm not going to put my hands on a woman because I got to show them a different way.
All right. Everybody, Shay Houston.
What's up, everybody?
Hey, Shay.
Hey.
So, for me, it's different now talking about that, because it's like, you know, when you have individuals that were around something for so long, they can so easily slide back into that life, whether it was dealing drugs, carrying guns. Like, I don't feel safe unless I carry my gun with me. You know what I'm saying? The gun's not like some kind of Star Trek force field. You know what I'm saying? So someone else with a gun can still kill you. Like, what, you know what I mean? It's weird. Also, if you're not licensed, registered to carry it, it's a straight ticket straight to jail. You know what I'm saying? So I mean, I don't really get people's thinking, but I know that it just doesn't make any sense to try to rebuild something until you get new material. Now, cousin Spencer, I said I think new material is knowledge. You know what I'm saying? I think new material is opening up your circle a little bit. If you're going to, if I'm saying, I'm not attacking churches, I'm not attacking teachers, leaders, I'm saying if your relationship failed while you're dealing with great people, if your relationship failed while you're watching a great podcast, you know what I'm saying? Like, people were big on Kevin Samuels. He had millions of followers, viewers, whatever, whatnot for his shows. People were sucking this up, right? People were really digesting his information. Relationship still failing, still single, right? So how do you rebuild? So you have to go farther than that. You know what I'm saying? And so, Tyrena, I mean, you can talk to us and tell us. I mean, I know that you and the lady that wrote the book, y'all were going back and forth a little bit, but I mean, like, when you go to rebuild, you know, your life, I mean, it's tough. I mean, looking back from a picture this point of view, looking back, trying to rebuild something that at the time seemed so strong. Then when it went down, like, what's it been like, the process of rebuilding? Like, have you added some new material? What's going on with that situation?
As far as rebuilding, you have to first, when you go through something like divorce and things like that, when you go through something like that, the rebuilding process starts with self. So you have to start evaluating self. You have to look within. You have to see where did I go wrong? Where was I the problem? You can't always point the finger and be like, it was you, it was you, it was you, it was you. No, where did I go wrong? Yes, I can see where I made some mistakes. You know, I can see where, you know, there's never an excuse for cheating. Never. I don't care how bad it gets. I don't care what the circumstances are. That should never give you grounds to think that you can heal by going out and bleeding on somebody else. And like it says, like we've learned as far as even just going to Bible study, you know, all things new. So when you rebuild, you think all things new. So you have to first rebuild yourself. First, you have to get a new mindset. You have to heal. You have to go through those emotions. You have to feel those voids of trauma and things like that. And then you got to go through the pressing, the shaking, and the beating, and all of that of yourself before you can do anything. Now, once you get that firm foundation and you get yourself in order, everything else will come into place. Like they say, broken crayons still color. Yes, they do. But are they at the top of the, you know, or are they as good as a regular crayon that's not broken? No, but they still function. So you never want to continue. You don't want to go into something new and you still bleeding from something old, because you don't want to bleed on that new thing. You want everything to be fresh. You want everything to be an understanding. And it took me time to understand that everything is a conversation, even the hard conversations, the ones that you don't want to have, you know. The whys, the whys, the wheres, the how was it possible we spend this much time together, but you still was able to find time to slide in a DM, or you still was able to find time to make a phone call, you still was able to find time. Where did I slip up at? So once you find out your inner issues, that gives you a solid foundation to know, okay, now I can set boundaries of what I'm not gonna do, what I'm not gonna tolerate, what I'm not gonna say. And a lot of things can be resolved just by the way you say them.
Are you willing to be open and honest with, like, say young folks watch this podcast? Are you willing to be open and honest with young women about, like, how tough it is to fight and deal with, or balance having, you know, children at home and try to be a woman that still has a life? Like, I don't know, Shay, you can probably answer this question. Ladies, is your life really kind of over to a certain extent until them kids out the house? Like if you have children and it doesn't work out with the dad, whether he was a husband or not, is your life kind of over to a certain? Are we
over?
I'm saying, come on, Spencer. You see what I'm saying? Because Spencer, like, is it
okay? So
for women? Because for guys, it's different.
Saying.
You know what I'm saying? I'm just saying, for guys, we have different dating rules. You see what I'm saying?
I get what you're saying. As far as my life being over, no, my life is not over. Like there is boundaries that you have to set because number one, I have to set an example in front of my kids. I'm raising young men, so therefore they can't see men coming in and out over me. Especially with me walking the walk that I walk, especially with the things that God has called me to do. So that's not something my sons will not ever be able to say, well, mama was with this man this day. She was with this man that day. Mama just got them rolling in one for every day of the week. That's not my story. Now, is my life over? No, but do people want to babysit your kids? No. So you have to do things to incorporate your children. As far as dating, when I start dating, I feel like my kids, I deserve that 90 days of me getting to know you before my children are even introduced to you. They may know of you, but they will not ever see you or talk to you until I feel like you can communicate with me, because you have to first be able to communicate with me. Because if you can't communicate with me, then my children definitely you're not going to be able to relate to. Because my kids are open and honest children.
Okay, I see you with that. Shay, like both of y'all, we had different shows and both of y'all admitted to getting married young. So like, are you willing to open up? Thank you for that, Tyrena. Are you willing to open up and tell young women to be more circumspect about that choice going in? Because are you willing to admit that it's tougher once you have kids and it doesn't work out with the husband, doesn't work out with the father, that it's just a lot tougher to be who you thought you were or to achieve what you wanted to achieve now, because it's different. It's dating different for men and women. It just is what it is.
Yeah, it's like when you say over, that's like you might as well die. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it's just like what's the word I'm looking for? It's when a divorce don't work out, it's more like a wake-up call. Like if I would have thought about this then, you know what I'm saying? If I'd have looked at all the different stuff before I got married, you know what I'm saying? We look over a lot of stuff when we get married, you know what I'm saying? Because we want to be married so bad. With me, I wanted to get married because I grew up in a church. I know fornicating was not, godly, you know what I'm saying? I didn't want to go to hell. So that was the main reason that I got married. If I wanted to go out and indulge and do stuff, I need to be married and be with that one person, you know what I'm saying? And hopefully they would be with that one person. But to say that it's over, no. I mean, for me, it was a wake-up call. Okay, it didn't work out. I still got to do this. I still got to do this. My kids, you know what I'm saying? If I would have fell apart, what would my kids do? They looking at me like, okay, mama, what's next? You know what I'm
saying? So cousin Spencer, you on the opposite end of the spectrum, right? You're a single father, for a couple of different reasons, but you went through a divorce. You went through a divorce first. And
how many kids to the men that step up?
How many kids do you have at home with you? Or
I have a total of 3 children, but my divorce never got finished because she wound up dying before it even happened.
Okay, sorry to hear that. All right, so you have a total of 3 children at the house. All right, so since men and women dating is different, like with the kids, what would you say to young men, going into what you went through and what you've been through? Because even though the divorce wasn't final, you still had a fall with your ex, and how that all came out. You know what I'm saying? So what would you tell young men as far as like what life is like as a single parent and how you may have could have done things differently or what you would have done differently?
But if I had a chance to do things differently, I would have just had one kid and worried about that one at that time.
Well, you can't say that when you get blessed with twins.
True.
It's keep going. I mean, just break that down. I mean, you know, this is your
Not that like
opportunity.
we just, but both like if you know y'all not gonna truly work out, man, just work at being co-parents because that's the whole thing to the key to that. Just like learn to train your mind to just say, look, I'm not here for you. I'm here for our child, and step up in that role.
When you hear that sound, write it down. Now, look, I'm just gonna keep it 100 with y'all. From the outside, the home parent perspective, hell no. HE double hockey sticks, no. Young people, man, I'm telling you right now, if you don't give yourself a chance to get out, see the world, have fun in your career, decide what it is that you really want to do with your life. Don't just be jumping into stuff because you're going to church and don't want to get caught out there and be somebody saying that you got the whole bug. Don't just be jumping into a situation because he look good and he tell you, ladies, that it's gonna last forever. You know what I'm saying? Fellas, don't just be jumping into it because you don't want nobody else to have her. Y'all know that. Y'all know what I'm talking about. You know what I'm talking about. Look, the bottom
You make
line,
me sick.
Look, I'm saying they know what I'm talking about. It's a bunch of them out there.
Hey, cuz that is true though. You should really live before you settle down.
Exactly. I'm telling you. Look,
that's the whole key to that because people now like you was talking about like one of your old podcasts is like when is the right time to procreate, to make children, but live your life, live a little bit first, have a career, have a foundation set before you actually make children because you make children early on, what y'all gonna do is go through a horrible struggle, and then what your kids see as a struggle, and that builds another terrible environment with limitations.
I'm gonna tell you something right now, cuz not only was that real, but it was appropriate to say at this moment. Because I was 26 before I had my first child. So where I'm from, that's old before you start having a kid.
Old and dusty.
I was 23, and where I'm from, that's old. 23, 27, that was old. And all my high school friends, all their kids are college grown. Yeah.
So yeah, I feel you. So what I'm saying is, but my mistake was I had a child by someone that hadn't lived much life yet. You know, my older son's mom was like 19 at the time. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't really know or decide, like, you know, like she was saying with her ex-husband, like she felt a certain way about her belief, but she didn't know if she didn't take time to make sure that that was his belief as well. You know, get married to that person, whatever, you know, build it together forever. And I was in the same situation. You know, I was just like, man, I'm gonna do this. That's it, and it's gonna work. I thought that way for real, cuz man, let me tell you something right now, bro. Stupid. That was me. And then I've always been so passionate, Tyrena, about what I do that I come across a certain kind of way. So a person would have all the confidence in the world that I know what I'm talking about, I know what I'm doing. I did at all. It took me 3 kids to have before I realized what was going on. And the last kid I had, I was just like, I can't stop. You know what I'm saying?
Just Robo.
Cause I was just, you know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's just, you know, I mean, for real, just had no control over myself. I was just the craziest.
You really can't say nothing but Don Rico. I'm just saying, with that many.
Yeah, 14 is a bit much. Yeah.
Kept going. I'm like,
well, now I mean, what I'm saying is I guess I had my youngest because none of my kids at the time were close. Sonke was still in Ohio. John's mom moved to Illinois. You know what I'm saying? Elijah's mom moved back to North Carolina. There really wasn't no child of mine close. Now, if y'all look at my Facebook page, I was very, very tight, as much as I could be for a straight up jailbird. I was very, very tight with my kids. You'll always see pictures of me at every phase in between the breaks for jail. You'll see pictures of me with my kids, for real. It just is what it is. I'm just talking about when I'm off Facebook. When you see me back on Facebook at 18 months, Oh yeah, food made home. Cheers, food. You know what I'm saying? Cheers, fool. You back? You know what I'm saying? It just is what it is. Facebook can tell on people. You know what I mean? Straight up. Hey, on what? You would know fool just got out. Fool back on Facebook, like you know what I'm saying? Going crazy. I ain't lying.
I'm done. He's back active.
I'm talking about fool out there. You know, still got the little prison jumpsuit on. You know what I'm saying? The
No,
grades,
not the prison jumpsuit.
I'm talking about the grades, the jogging suit. He ain't took the boots off yet. You know what I mean? This is real. I ain't lying. I can't make this up. But
Not
look,
love after lockup.
but I'm just what I'm saying is, so that's really why I have 4 kids, not just 3. You know what I'm saying? I just was on going off. But I'm telling you, we can really help people. We can really help people now understand like all the situations that we're in and how difficult it is. I'm telling y'all, it's difficult. Like I live with Shay and we just celebrated a year.
Say it wasn't easy, Shay. I'm sure glad it was you.
You see what I'm saying, Spencer? You know what I'm saying? I just talking about the odd couple for real. That's why I'm up here and she down there. But the bottom line. So look, this is what I'm talking about though. It's difficult managing like people that you didn't make. You know, I wouldn't raise my kids the way Shay raised her kids. I'm not saying her way is right and my way is wrong, or my way is wrong and her way is right. You know what I'm saying? It's just I wouldn't do it. So I'm telling you, young people, before you just go out there on dummy and do something with some dum blind leading the blind. On the back end, you still want to have life, you still want to have love, and it's much tougher.
Let's talk about that.
I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying it's much tougher to do. You know
Let's talk about that. How does it work? You rebuild it with a woman with kids. How does that work? Because the man is an umbrella. It's the umbrella. God, husband, wife, kids. So therefore, that's gonna be a rift somewhere because don't say that to my kids, or don't do my kids like that. When all actuality, you out of line.
You know, I think that it's been different. It's been different for me because, you know, immediately I saw Shay doing things for her sons that my kids' moms wasn't doing. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have my axe to grind with a lot of stuff that Shay does. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm weird. But the bottom line is, the bottom line is, you know, Shay, man, look, for a woman to donate on a weekly basis, for her to have a couponing racket that she runs where she checks up on it, goes twice a week, gets the stuff, then sells it to neighbors that, you know, could use a lookout. You know what I'm saying? Like, none of my kids' moms, you know, and it was not a put down to say she's better than, I'm just saying, but like for me, so it was tough for me really to be jealous of what her kids was getting at. My kids' moms wouldn't give my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, so where I might feel like, you know, she's a little bit liberal, you know, maybe to a fault. It's tough to manage that because of what my kids' moms, how they treated my kids. You know what I'm saying? Like, you have too much parent, not enough parenting. You know what I'm saying? But I would rather my kids had a mom like Shay. If I would have had opportunity, if I would have knew any better, I definitely would have picked a woman like Shay to have my kids by. You know what I'm saying? And so for me, it's been like, but you know, her kids are teens. You know what I'm saying? So like, you know, it was just like, it's a bunch of men in the house. You know what I'm saying? So it's a lot different. I feel.
Trust me, I know, Shay. I saw your face.
I feel like I have a certain personality and a certain way I carry myself, and I just feel like, you know, I was going somewhere, and so because I feel like I'm going somewhere, that I feel like they should follow. And if they're doing something that's not to the standards I would have for my own kids, then I'm going to say something. We're going to have a discussion about it. And I would let them know that. Now, since Shay's met my kids, she understands a lot better. So it was a long road until she went to Wisconsin and she met Sasanke, she met John, she met Demir. She sees how my kids respond to me. So now she understands a whole lot better what my expectations of her kids is. That makes sense? But you can take it from there.
Yeah. What? There was no question.
I'm saying, what's like for you? I mean, you met my kids. I mean, what's like for you the short time you spent around them? I mean, I'm saying like as far as in contrast.
I mean, they well mannered towards you. I don't know how they act when they at home, but
right. So I'm saying the point is like me personally, I don't feel afraid of, bringing it eventually. I mean, I give it time, but eventually bringing it to the point where they understand like this is what I expect from young people under my roof. You know what I'm saying? This is how it's going to go. So, but it took time to get there, to get to that place. That's all I'm saying. So Tyrenna, well, how do you feel? Like, I mean, you've been dating and doing some things. How do the men that come in your life, how do they deal with it?
Oh, the man that's in my life, my kids, he was my friend. And he was actually on You're a Mess. But yeah, my guy is not in the home. My guy lives in New Orleans. So when he come around, it's just like, what's up? Like my kids respect him because number one, he came in, and this is what I like about it. We have to look at it. Okay, women dating, we look at, okay, my kids need a man in their life, da 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 da. But I changed my perspective. I'm not looking for a dad for my kids. They have that. Whether he be absent or whether he be active, they have a father. So when I say that to say, be careful the men you have around your children, because maybe what they feel like is what they should do as little boys. No, you can't step in right there because the mom has already laid the foundation. You may not be in the household, but there are things that you can instill in them as they grow, as the relationship grows, to be men. Not that they have to call you dad or none of that, because I ain't nobody's mama. I'm my kid's mama. God gave me my children, and whatever man I'm dating, I want him to understand I don't want to be your kid's mama. I am just a woman to show your daughter along the way. If she asks me some questions, I'm gonna give her the reality. Lady T, beautiful you, whatever they want to call me, but they don't have to call me mama because I'm not your mama. You got one mama. So, that's it in the dynamic. Once we get that understood, everything else will fall into place.
Man, look, I don't mean to cut you off, but I ain't gonna lie though, Tyrenna, to a certain extent, when we enter young folks' lives and we're grown, you know what I'm saying? It's not like, of course, if her kids was toddlers, I wouldn't let them or want them to call me dad. You know what I'm saying? But that wouldn't change the fact that to a certain extent, I'm a father figure. You know what I'm saying? And because we're Christians, I'm already knowing that the example that I set, whatever I put into their minds or into their hearts, I know I'm going to be judged by that in the last day, right? Okay, Cousin Spencer, it's your turn, man. Go ahead and pipe up and let us know how you feel about being somebody else's daddy, or your girlfriend being whatever woman that you date being your kid's de facto or mother figure.
For me, right now I'm not dating anybody. So it's like not having nobody in life. I've still been single for 3 years and probably still gonna be going that way. But if I do have a woman comes in my life, I don't really bring them around my children until I fully get to know you personally. And I mean literally personally, even if then I got to see how you are as a person, how you react, if you even like children. Because I don't want to bring no one around my kids if I'm not gonna like you, I'm not gonna bring somebody I don't like around my children. because that'll be just bad. So if I gotta fully like somebody, get the full understanding of them, know if they gonna really like my children before I even think about introducing them. If I gotta know even if I might even like if they have kids, I gotta know if I'm gonna like them along with their kids. Cause it may be some stuff that I may not like about her and how she might act around her kids and how she treat people. Cause really I'm a family oriented person, period. If you can't show me that you got any family oriented values, I'm definitely not gonna mess with you.
Well,
So it's a lot of stuff that plays into that for me.
so just be so to break it all down, we're talking about how to rebuild after the fall. I thought it was an appropriate topic because here locally, young people were taking fentanyl laced pills. And so families are torn apart now. 4 young people, when they showed the middle school, it broke my heart. I have a 12-year-old. I just can't imagine what I would do if his mom called me and said somebody gave him a pill in the bathroom at school and on a dare he took it and he was unresponsive when they found him there. You know what I'm saying? Like
that's where we as parents have to listen.
Hold on. I would literally be like in the Bible. I would rent my clothes and wear sackcloth, and I would be running around in the mud for like a month. You know, I'm talking about for real. I would lose my mind. I wouldn't know what to do because I really know Elijah. It's different for you parents that have been there from day one. You know what I'm saying? To just now be building a relationship up and trying to get that thing going, and then to hasn't has that's with in such a situation that could be avoided. Like, I don't know, me personally, but go ahead and type in, tell them to click on the link in his inbox. But I'm just saying that's why I thought it was to be a good podcast for that brother Tyree out there in Memphis, right? His family torn apart, and then it was just he wasn't sleeping with all them cops' wives, just one of them. So this one pissed off cop then talked 3 other guys who were just probably just thinking we was just going to beat them up and scare them. You know what I'm saying?
They did.
And then it turned into a murder. Now their families is ruined. Like, when does this stop? So a lot of people have to rebuild after the fall. You know what I'm saying, Cousin Spencer? A lot of people these days right now are having to rebuild after the fall. We're coming up here in Texas. I don't know about different parts of the country, but in like 60 days, we're coming up on tornado season. So a lot of people are going to have to rebuild. You see what I'm saying? So this is an appropriate podcast. Live your truth. I'm telling you, live your truth is it has to be real for all of us. All right. We're going to go ahead and do our shout outs. Y'all already know how we do it. Cousin Spencer, you're going to go first, and then we're going to let you go. You're invited to hang out in the studio afterward and kick with us for a couple of minutes, you know what I'm saying? Or you all can do your thing. But Cousin Spencer, you're first. Talk to us about, in 30 seconds or less, just what you got from this podcast, man. Give a couple of shout outs.
I'm gonna give some shout outs to my kids and my family, you too. What I'm taking in from this podcast is like something I'm still doing now is like the rebuilding phase of my life, because I'm going through that at the moment. I'm just slowly rebuilding. I should start writing my own book on how I should try those 3 phases of everything, because it does work, but it's a long process of it for me. But for the younger people, they should really take this in, is live your life first and then build your career. And then settle your roots with the right person. Just don't just lay up with the wrong person.
Tyrone, you're up next. 30 seconds or less. Let's go. What does this podcast give to you? And give some shout outs. Let's go.
So the rebuilding process always starts with you. Remember, be beautiful you. Be yourself. Be who you are. Live your truth. Be transparent. And guess what? Picture this. You'll be surprised what comes out of it when you take the time to do the work.
Love it, love it. That's the real deal. We're gonna go ahead and let Shay give her shout outs. What you got to say? What'd you get from the podcast today, young lady?
Just young people. I hope that they are watching and not just going with what social media says that, you know, is the way to go. Like the Blueface and what is her name? Christian Rock.
Oh boy.
It seems like she just on pills and alcohol. Every time I see her, it's like, and then now she's pregnant. So it's like, I'm wondering what's going on with that situation.
You need to go ahead and slap herself.
But
2 times.
I just pray the outcome of their relationship is not deadly, because that seems like that's where it's heading.
Well, we appreciate that. I'm just gonna say to everybody out there, thanks for watching the show, man. Tomorrow night at 9:30. And I'll post, look on my page on Facebook, but go and subscribe to Taibu Muad'Dib, man, over on YouTube, man. I need subscribers. If you guys get on this platform with Shay and I, man, we promise to continue to give you better content and a better podcast experience. It's Taibu Muad'Dib. Shay, that's the show.
Bye.